When I started the city of Mill Creek, the chief, Bob Crannell, told me that there were 3 priorities of the police department, and I kind of have held fast to that, even though we've had many variations of that. It can pretty much broke down to the same thing.
Meet Chief Stan White, the leader of Mill Creek's police department. With over 20 years of service, Chief White shares his journey, leadership insights, and how he's shaping the future of community policing.
Our priorities were the detection and deterrence of criminal activity. That was our number 1 goal, the protection of life and property, right? Number 2 was traffic safety, because all of our patrol staff has an obligation to do their best to provide for a safe motoring community for the pedestrians and for the motoring public. And then also those...
Don't miss this exciting episode of Mill Creek Life Today.
Well, hello, beautiful people. Welcome once again to the Mill Creek Life Today podcast, coming to you from Tapped Mill Creek, the home studio for our podcast. I'm your host, Greg Elwin, the Mill Creek guy, and Greg Elwin Real Estate, the company that I own, is the sponsor of this. So it's kind of a cool deal to know the sponsor, right? We're out there everywhere. This is the video on YouTube. You can also get us on Spotify and iTunes and wherever else you get your podcasts and listen in on what we got going on in Mill Creek, everything that's cool. We got a really special guest today. I'm very excited to have Chief Stan White from the Mill Creek Police Department join us today. Thank you, Chief. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
I'm glad that you had the time to come out and join us today.
I apologize for being a slight bit tardy, but
That's okay. I understand.
with your experience, I think you might understand those
I
things.
understand. Yeah, sometimes things come up. In fact, I told Jay you're going to be late, and he's like, what does he know? Is a car chase or something? I'm like, nah, Chiefs don't get in car chases. But then I remembered actually a chief that did get in a car chase one time. So.
I recall a chief as well.
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do? You can take the cop out of the county, but you can't take the county out of the cop.
That was one of the first things for me that was hard to kind of realize that the responsibilities have changed, right?
Yeah.
And we have great guys out there doing the job, so let them kind of work on that and focus on the things that I need to be focusing on.
Yeah, so I do want to spend a little time talking about your job and where you're at right now. You've been with the Mill Creek Police Department for how long now?
21 years almost. Almost 1 years. It was, I want to say October 16th, 2003.
Okay, right. So you're coming up on anniversary time here in a few weeks. That's awesome. And so when I worked for the city, you were Sarge, and you were my go-to guy, right? And as much as you probably hated that, but you had a lot going on, and now you got the big seat and the big chair and the big office. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's a scary thought, but
Yeah.
it's been a great experience. My career at Mill Creek has been really incredible.
Yeah.
Coming in as a lateral officer from a very small municipality in Clyde Hill. I started in Clyde Hill as a reserve police officer in 1995. And, lateraling to Mill Creek was a great step for us. I was living locally, got rid of that commute down to Bellevue and to Clyde Hill, and was able to, really step into a career that has been very fulfilling. I've had a chance to do all the things, so it's been exciting.
So in your career, you have done a lot of things, right? And you've been in detectives, and you work with a smart team, and you've done just a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And now, being in charge of everybody, it does change your perspective quite a bit on the job of policing, because you're not policing anymore. You're managing police people.
Yeah, and you'll appreciate this because I know this is your philosophy as well. And we start talking about leadership versus managing, right? Mm-hmm. We're here to lead them, not to manage them. And so we're really trying to foster a leadership mentality and as much as we can, a servant leadership mentality. I've been able to bring in a great deputy director, who's Eric Chartrand, who's helping me. We've been very successful building teams in the past, more along the lines of sports teams.
Yes.
But this is our first opportunity to do it as a career, and it's been really rewarding. And we're really starting to gain some momentum. And after 2 years, it takes time to change culture, and it does, and the way things have been. And but we're heading in the right direction, and I think that they're going to start seeing that really pronounced in the community soon.
That's really cool. That comparison you drew between what you're doing now with this team and sports teams is that's deep in me, right? And you've coached youth sports, and I've coached youth sports, and there's so many lessons learned from building those elite teams of kids. And don't take this wrong at all. I'm not saying your officers are kids at all, but you're taking a group of individuals and not telling them what to do and not making them do it, but helping them create that team. And so doing that with a group of adults and a group of really type A personality police officers, it can be a challenge and a lot of work, but it's cool to see that coming. Yeah. And I can see from the outside, seeing your officers around town and new faces and people that we don't know, that I don't know or recognize. You can just see that's coming together, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, we really have almost I would say 28, 29, maybe 30% changeover in the department since you left.
That's incredible.
And so really it is incredible, and we do have, I understand the association because they are very young. A lot of the individuals we're bringing in are young. We're very fortunate to have them. They're very well educated. They have a lot of common sense.
Yeah.
So they have some street experience.
Yeah.
As far as some life experience, I should say. So we really appreciate that. And we've done it. I mean, again, the deputy director has done a great job providing me with this list of candidates to choose from.
Yeah.
So we're excited about them. As a matter of fact, we have a graduation tomorrow from one of our new officers. And so we're going to welcome her and head down to the academy and get her sworn in. And it's going to be a lot of fun. But that's what we've done our whole careers, right? And we started off and we get hired, and we're really anxious to get going. And I started coaching youth sports, in my 20s, before I was a police officer. But it really wasn't, and that was really rewarding. And we always had a great time with the kids, and we coached baseball and we coached football together. But now we're taking those into FTO programs, and we learned all these skills through field training programs and giving officers their tools for their toolbox, like we used to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not necessarily making carbon copies, but giving them the understanding and the experience to make up their own opinions and use their own discretion to make knowledgeable decisions and take their appropriate enforcement action. So,
yeah.
And then moving on from there, becoming a sergeant, it's just the whole thing. Again, now we're just doing it with the entire squad, and to become chief now, and really start, mentoring the FTOs to be the FTO that we were, and
right.
Having an understanding as to what their job really is, and to see the product of police officer that we're putting on the street now. I think it's definitely we've upped the game, I think, a little bit.
It's personally and professionally rewarding to see that stuff develop. But more important than I think the rewarding aspect of it is just the satisfaction from knowing what you have out there is going to take really good care of the responsibilities that they've been given, right? To protect and serve, and to interact with the community, and to be the most visible ambassador of government that's out there. So when you can see that manifest itself with these new officers you're hiring, and then as well officers who've been here for a while that are embracing those things, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's really great to hear is the response from the community, right?
Yeah.
So when we get those accolades from the community and say, well, I really appreciate the work that Officer Cooper did. I really appreciate the work that Officer Wood did on this case, or even with the officers that are senior in the department, Detective Chris White, the many accolades that I receive from jobs that she has done. And it seems like there doesn't, like a day doesn't go by, maybe a week, that we are not receiving some type of an appreciation letter from the community in regards to one of the officers' actions on the road. So it's really rewarding that way.
It's so cool to be able to get those and share them with everybody and pin them up on the board, and just, give your officers a thanks and a congratulations, because they're representing, again, they're the ambassadors that are representing everybody in government. They're representing you, right? And so that's really cool. So you talk a little bit about giving them the tools for, kind of the enforcement and the investigative and those kind of traditional policing roles, but I know that you've embraced this, and we talk a lot about that police community interaction above and beyond just, hey, I answered a 911 call or I happened to pull you over. There's that proactive interaction thing. And I know that we did a lot of that stuff when we worked together, and I see that that's still carrying on and blossoming and growing, and it's really cool. We had a chance to talk at your Coffee with a Cop at Frost Donuts. Place was packed. I mean, what incredible response.
It's become a tradition, now we used to do it once a year. Now we're doing it twice a year. And it's something that you had brought to our attention as a chief, and something that we've carried on. And, now we have Sergeant Fleming, who's our community outreach sergeant, who's now the detective sergeant, is taking that over. And so he's done a great job, and that program continues to grow. Community-oriented policing is a big deal for us. I mean, it is a question that is asked to every single candidate that comes through the door. Mm-hmm. It is very important, and it's asked by me, not at an oral board.
Right.
And so it's very important for me to look them in the eye and see what their response is, to see what their mannerisms are when I bring up community-oriented policing, especially National Night Out.
Yeah, right.
Another event that you brought to our community, and but that is a big deal for us, and every year it continues to grow. And we just had that event the first Tuesday in August every year.
Yeah,
was attended very well this year again.
The place also was packed. I could not believe how many people were.
Yeah, and the sponsors have always been great. The chamber's been great. We have so many different sponsors. Starbucks, Nothing But Case. I wish I could name them all. But we're very appreciative of the work that they're doing in the community to accept that feedback from us, right? So there are communities out there that don't have that same relationship with their law enforcement partners, and I really want to foster that, and I hope we can. I feel that that's going to be always a strong point for the city of Mill Creek.
I think so too. It's because of you and because of your staff and the people that you have on and the people that you're hiring have that right mindset and that right approach. I heard, and I'm going to butcher this completely, but a past academy commander from the CJTC at a graduation I attended talked about what law enforcement used to mean and what law enforcement means now, right? And compared the definition of what we traditionally understand law enforcement, right? You write tickets, you investigate crime, you take people to jail. But it's so much more than that, right? It's crisis intervention, it's community involvement, it's just doing those little things along the way. I mean, that means you pull over the side of the road and shoot some hoops with some kids when you see them, or, is it helping a little old lady across the street kind of a thing? Yeah, it is. It is kind of that, but it's a holistic approach to community policing and law enforcement, because you become part of the community. And then when you do have to do those things like arrest somebody or write a ticket or investigate a crime, you've developed relationships already. So it makes it better and easier for everybody to do those kinds of things.
And the more positive interactions that we have with the community, the more understanding they're going to have about the job that we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that has always been a big part of it. And then, with the view on law enforcement as we've come into the last few years, really moving with when you and I went through the academy and they talked about the warrior mentality and other things, moving toward that sheepdog mentality and moving to this guardian mentality, and having more of an essence of our responsibility to the community. I think that's really developed and growing.
Yeah.
And it's really taken us in the right direction as to where we need to be. Those are the things that I want to see our officers doing, like stopping and shooting the hoops. That is actually one of the comments that I make to a lot of the officers about when you see those individuals that just say hello in the park.
Yeah.
Get out and walk around. We started talking about foot patrols in town center and those types of things that are whatever business community that we have out here at the farm or at Thomas Lake, wherever it might be, encouraging the officers to get out. And we're still trying to figure out other ways to get more, a little bit closer to the community as well.
Yeah.
With the possibility of bringing back some bicycle patrol and some other things that we can, they talk about getting out of the patrol car.
Yeah.
And in the city of Mill Creek, we have that opportunity. When I started the city of Mill Creek, the chief, Bob Crannell, told me that there were 3 priorities of the police department. And I kind of have held fast to that, even though we've had many variations of that. It can pretty much broke down to the same thing. And our priorities were the detection and deterrence of criminal activity. That was our number one goal, the protection of life and property, right? Number two was traffic safety, because all of our patrol staff has an obligation to do their best to provide for a safe motoring community for the pedestrians and for the motoring. And then also those quality of life issues. And this is where we really get into that community relations, right?
Yep.
Those quality of life issues that the Mill Creek Police Department, due to our call load, has some of the opportunities to actually be more involved with the community, because some agencies don't have that opportunity.
You bet.
But it's nice to work for a community that we actually have the ability to say, hey, listen, stop when your garage door is open and see if you're home, to see if you need to close your garage door, those types of things. Yeah.
And your community appreciates that, right? I see it in my neighborhood, and I see it around town, and just the people I talk to. Your people in the community, the people who live here appreciate that. And again, go back to National Night Out. That was a great illustration of that, because the people just came to that event. It was packed, busier than anything, any comparable. It was the busiest National Night Out I've seen. And we did get our permit this way. So in case the health department's asking, we made sure we got all the paperwork.
That was awesome. Yeah, and even though the demands of our officers continue to increase, our call volume continues to move up.
Yeah.
That's, as does our population, and that's probably a result of that to a certain extent. But we've been able to maintain that quality of life and still have, not as frequently as we probably would like to, but it's still there.
Yeah. That's cool. So there's something that I want to ask you about. I think you mentioned it. We just had the golf tournament, right? And that's not a police department thing, but we're talking before the episode, kind of the origins of that related to the police department.
Yeah.
Right. So share with me a little bit about how the Mill Creek Classic golf tournament came about, but some of those police department related origins there.
Well, so golf has always been a part of my life. I started playing golf when I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, with my grandfather, actually.
Wow.
And so it was always fun to get out with him. He played every Wednesday with his group of his foursome, and he would let me come out when I was a very young kid and swing a 7-iron. He let me swing the 7-iron every once in a while. So,
which, by the way, is the only club that I can swing.
Yeah. And so I started to actually really enjoy golf, playing golf more and more with my father, and then it just continued, and it's always been a great hobby. So when I got into law enforcement, I noticed there's always golf tournaments here and there. And my first agency that I worked for, the city of Clyde Hill, and then also with the city of Medina, we had a police guild that could always use a little extra funds.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started a guild benefit golf tournament. Did that once at Overlake Golf and Country Club. Thank you, Overlake. Appreciate the experience back in the late 90s.
Yeah.
But then when I came here to Mill Creek, again, we had the same situation here. And so we started that tournament, and I think I held one for the police guild here, and I was able to meet Dan McNeely and Kevin Givney. And after those relationships kind of grew, and then conversations continued, although that golf tournament as it was for the police guild, that one kind of went away. We might have held it twice. I can't recall. But it evolved, right? And so I got a call from Dan and Kevin, and they said, hey, let's do this for a charity event for the kids of Mill Creek and the surrounding areas, and let's sponsor sports and academic scholarships for these kids and build something special. And I tell you what, I mean, as much as I would like to say I've been really involved in this, Dan and Kevin have really taken off with this, and now we've got a great board of members, one with you're a member of, and Heidi and there's so in Jeff, and there's just so almost everybody from the chamber at some point been a part of this, and so it's really evolved into a great tournament. Just yesterday, we were playing golf, and it was a great event, and the sponsors have been great, the community has been great. There's been so many kids and organizations, not just the chilled kids, but the organizations that have benefited from the generosity of the individuals who are attending the tournament. And the auction's always a lot of fun, and it's just amazing the amount of funds we've been able to produce.
Well, I'll talk a little bit about the funds because we just looked at some kind of preliminary numbers, which was impressive. This was the 7th annual Mill Creek Classic Golf Tournament, right? And so one of the items they auctioned off were the coins, the challenge coins. You can catch one of those.
Yeah.
And so tell me about that because you got a hand in that, right?
So that's one of my responsibilities each year is to design the poker chip that is associated with the tournament.
Yeah.
And when I saw that go up for bid, I almost had to raise my hand.
Yeah.
And I
probably just get one.
Yeah.
We should probably give you one.
No. I'll wait for next year. And when there's 8, they'll make a nice even number. We'll go for that.
There you go.
But it was great to see that go up for auction. I was really impressed by Heidi's vision for that.
I was surprised to see that. I had no idea that was coming.
Yeah,
that was the coolest thing.
Yeah, Heidi, I do have all 7 chips if we can work out
well, you should have dropped your ticket in the raffle for Heidi's frame. See, then you could.
Yes, I should have.
Could have won that.
Yes, I should have. Yeah. No, I think I put most of my chips. So I was playing with a friend of mine who's been a longtime supporter of the tournament as well, John Goslin, and he had mentioned before we went out to play that he wanted to get a golf umbrella for his son.
Okay.
So I put all my raffle tickets in the umbrellas and then we still didn't win a play. So that's all right.
Well, see, that's a good problem to have, right? Because that means there are so many tickets in there that people were supporting and participating and all for the right cause.
Right.
You talk about kids and programs and athletics and academics and some of the donations that we've made and programs that we've supported from this golf tournament over the years is just, it's so cool to know that we're able to help out, that because of our support, which only happens as a result of the support of the people who come and buy raffle tickets and auction items, able to help these kids and just make a difference in their lives. And it started out with kind of focus on athletics, but it's really developed the last several years. And it's just, again, kind of like you're doing with the police department, a holistic approach to the community. Let's help out wherever we can and do the best we can.
Yeah, I mean, one of the beneficiaries of the tournament, the Jackson robotics team.
Yeah.
What a great program, what a great organization, extremely successful.
Yeah.
We need to foster that, right? We need to build that.
Absolutely.
And, the cap and gown organization that runs through the school, I believe it's through the PTSA. I'm not 100% sure, but having them benefit from that as well for the kids that just don't have the ability to have a cap and gown for graduation.
Right.
I mean, what a great kids worked so hard for so many years.
It kind of gives you chills just a little bit to think about what that program's supporting, right? So you got kids that are graduating from high school, and whatever their circumstances are, some of these kids are living in cars for crying out.
Yeah.
And so we need to do something to help them.
Right.
And something as simple as, just now you can graduate with your class.
Yeah, I'm so happy that the board decided to venture out from that, because it did start with the athletics.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for us to be able to provide some funds to
it means a lot.
The other organizations.
It means a lot. Now, back to athletics, though, this is kind of cool. We supported the Jackson High School football booster program, and so this year at the tournament, we had the Jackson High School football players.
Yeah, it was great to see them out there in their jerseys.
Gosh, out there in their jerseys, and they're unloading people's cars, and they're carrying their bags for them, and it's so much fun. I was talking to Marissa as they're getting finished. The most important things was the donuts. They were able to get donuts, right? I mean, these are high school football kids, man. They're like, oh, man, we get free donuts?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, gosh, to just develop that and help those kids out. And those are kids, again, some that couldn't graduate with a cap and gown. These are some kids that could be tremendously gifted athletes that just don't have the resources to be able to join the football team. And going back to earlier in our conversation about building teams and how that applies to the rest of your life and wherever you work. I mean, football is the most complete team sport that there is. And there's so many, I've exhausted you, I'm sure, with football over the years, but I really feel that way, right? Those things that we learn as part of a team carry on to relationships and jobs and siblings and everything else in our life. And so if we can have some sort of positive impact in these kids, because they're the future. They're the ones going to take care of us. When you're retired, they're going to be the new police officers driving around town. And so we want to do a thing.
We hope. I mean, I would love to see. I would love to see the kids that are living in Mill Creek now to have aspirations of coming up and becoming Mill Creek police officers. And you know, we had a couple of those come through. Yeah. A couple of graduates from Jackson High School come through, and we'll keep going, keep working on it.
Yeah. So back to the money really quick. Preliminary numbers that we're kind of kicking around based on, it's still early, right? But a revenue of almost $70,000.
It's amazing, isn't it?
$70,000. That's incredible. Yeah. And of course, we have got expenses to figure in there, and so you know it's an expensive golf course to hold a tournament at, right? Mill Creek Country Club is a fantastic country club.
Great venue.
Yeah, beautiful. The support we get from the folks there and how they open the doors to welcome us in and take care of everything, but it's expensive, right? So we got expenses related with that. But we're going to come out of this with tens of thousands of dollars to be able to then turn around and have another year to support these kinds of programs, athletics and academics and community programs and all kinds of things. I mean, I'm so excited about what's next.
And that's the thing, is that we have this to give now.
Yeah.
And so I would encourage any individual that has an organization around the Mill Creek area. Doesn't have to be within the city of Mill Creek. It can be, you know, anywhere where we're supporting local kids, local sports, local academics. I encourage them to contact the chamber and ask about, you know, donations from the golf funds.
Yeah,
because there's a real possibility that your dreams may be answered there.
Yeah. It's very rewarding. And I played in the golf tournament. This is the fourth time I've played in the golf tournament. And it's important for me to let everybody know that our team beat his team.
One stroke.
It's one stroke, it's a win.
4 members in your group?
Yeah.
We had 2.
Okay, so let's play this out for a second, though. I think that there may be an advantage to having 2 players on your team.
There could,
because that's 2. I know you're a pretty good golfer.
I'm an average golfer.
And I bet your partner's at least an average golfer.
We're average golfers.
And my team had me, which is a well below average golfer, and a couple of hacks that do okay, and then we had one really good golfer. So I think there might be an advantage that you guys didn't.
And to level the playing field a little bit.
Did you buy your red rope?
We did. Well, it's about the kids. Of course, we bought the
red rope and red ball. We use those things very, very much.
Helped a lot. Did you buy the second red rope?
We did not. We tried. They tried. They gave me the whole, it's for the kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know, but we're almost.
Yeah, we're gonna have to offer that at both so when my group was coming through, and we played 18, we only had 3 holes left to play.
Right.
So we're going to have to reevaluate that process and see if we should offer that red rope repurchase at 2 locations maybe next year.
I think so. So we can, because we're in a similar circumstance. Like, do we need to do it right now? No, let's not. But I think halfway through is a good opportunity. Because I know that there was a team in front of us for sure that definitely would have taken advantage of as many options as they could. Yeah. So we had a fun experience with Jeff from JL Remodeling. They were playing behind us, and he comes up and says, "Hey, $20, our team versus your team, whoever gets closest to the pin." I'm like, all right, let's go. Yeah. And of course, our team won.
I don't want to hear about
it. And then he's like, "Okay, double or nothing, closest putt." So we did double or nothing, and we won again. Some $40. Which we could have used by another red mine.
And those funds were then, given to the kids, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's in fact true, because then at the end, we each had these 2 $20 bills, and so we just dropped them.
Outstanding.
But yeah, see, it's such a fun event.
Yeah.
And it does so much good. One of the other big programs that golf tournament supports is the scholarship program that's administered by the chamber. And and so we had an opportunity to give out 6 scholarships a few months ago.
That's amazing.
And they were $2,000 each. And the brilliance of these 6 kids, as they came up in front of the meeting, and Lindsay, our committee chair, is reading their bios and I'm dying inside. Literally crying on the outside and dying on the inside because I can never even hope to accomplish what they've already accomplished. It just,
Some of them are absolutely amazing.
brilliant. And that's our future.
Yeah.
So I feel okay about it.
And it's the future here in Mill Creek.
Yeah.
That's where this community, where these parents should feel so proud about how they're bringing up their kids and the efforts that their kids are putting in. And it's really amazing that these kids are moving on to becoming doctors and some of their engineers and really being, the forefront of their chosen profession. It's amazing what they're doing. I felt so like you. I was like, wait a second, what have I done with my life?
Exactly.
It's just like,
I know. And we should both feel really good about
time they commit.
But
the time that they commit to this, they're like, where do they find the time?
I know. I just look back to when I was getting ready to graduate from high school, and my list was not like that.
No, not even close.
I mean, I feel good. We should feel good about all the great things we've done in our lives and our careers. But again, I haven't even accomplished half of what they've done in the edges. And it makes me feel really good that we can support them.
Yep.
And just help just a little bit because they're going to take care of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So what else you guys got going in the police department? You got anything fun happening?
We're constantly trying to develop new ideas and come up with ways to leverage technology to be more efficient in the jobs that we're doing. Recently we added a drone program.
Oh, cool.
And so, and I say drone, but really we're calling them unmanned aerial platforms, right?
Yep.
But they really are a real benefit to us. And where they've been utilized most frequently is looking for missing individuals.
You bet.
We've had 2 or 3 deployments for the drone program already, and Sergeant Fouch is heading that up, doing a great job. And so it's been great. We're still, working on developing the program. I think we've been flying maybe for 2-3 months now. So it's a great regional asset.
You bet.
It's a great asset to help find individuals who have gone missing. And it's a great asset to reduce the occasion of uses of force when we can identify and locate individuals prior to use of force and contact those individuals and say, hey, listen, we know where you're hiding, we know what you're doing. And that's usually on those canine tracks, those times where individuals are, fleeing from a crime scene, and we're coming on scene and being able to identify where they are and be able to contact them without going hands-on.
Right.
And so that's really been an effective tool for law enforcement in general throughout the country. And so we're hoping to have that same success in Mill Creek.
It's really cool. That is leveraging technology, using it appropriately for the right reasons, and really looking for a more efficient way to do what we've always done. Right. I was on our dive rescue team for a long time, and when something needed to be found in the water or a drowning victim needed to be located, when I started, we'd spend hours on the end of a rope swimming back and forth and tug on the rope when you needed to turn and tug on the rope when you needed to get let out or pulled in. And then we got communications where we could actually talk to each other. And by the time I left the dive team, if we had somebody missing, we'd drop a sonar in the water and take an image of the bottom of the water. We identify a couple of targets. We'd send a underwater UAV to go out and see, is that what we're looking for? It is. And we send a diver down. The diver spends like 5 minutes on the bottom as opposed to 3 days. And so what you're doing there is the same kind of thing, taking advantage of that technology to use your people more efficiently, put your people and members of the community perhaps in less risk, and just do something a smarter way, the better mousetrap kind of idea.
Exactly. And, the sheriff's office is now utilizing these unmanned aerial platforms to deliver life jackets.
Wow.
So they're big enough and strong enough now, so where they have people that are stranded, people that have maybe fallen into the river and ended up on either on a log or on a rock in the middle of the river where nobody can get to them, and it takes time to get a boat to do that. But now they're clipping a life jacket to the drone, flying the drone out and delivering a life jacket to them, so at least they're safe.
Yeah.
Should they fall?
Yeah.
So there's all types of applications for these devices and leveraging technology it's one of the 6 pillars of 21st century policing, right? So
Exactly.
that's what we're trying to do now, and we're bringing in more and more systems, trying to get more and more things online, and to include more social media. We're trying to. Recently, we have been without a public information officer, and we just added 2 public information officers to the department. So selected 2, I should say, existing members. So we're going to get them trained up, and we're going to have a lot more presence on social media in the near future. So
that's very cool. Again, it's technology. It's what's out there, and it's what we in the community want, right?
Right.
The people who live here, and the demographics are changing, right? This community is getting younger, and they expect technology. They expect social media presence. They expect these kinds of things that you're talking about doing. And there was a time in law enforcement where we would take the approach of, I don't really care if that's what you expect. We do it the way we do it. And you mentioned the 6 pillars of 21st century police, and I'm not going to ask you to recite it. That wouldn't be nice. But the concept there is 21st century policing, not 20th century policing.
right.
And so all this stuff we're talking about is what people expect. I don't know if you know this, but a quick story on my neighborhood. You know where I live in Vine Maple on a loop. And when we moved into that house in 2016, our daughter Ashley was 12, and she was the youngest person on the loop at 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And since we have moved in there, no less than a dozen houses on that loop have kids that are 10 years old or younger.
Mm-hmm.
I came home yesterday and turned onto the loop, and there were literally 10 kids on bikes, scooters, and big wheels just in the street. And they're yelling at you, hey, get out of the way, car's coming. When we moved in there, none of that was happening.
Yeah.
And now it is just, and they just race around the loop. And so kids like that represent younger parents. And younger parents want you to use drones, and younger parents want you to communicate the way you're doing.
Yeah.
And so you're responsive to your community needs, and that's super important.
I mean, and that's, it's not yes, we're responsive to community needs, but we're also trying to find the best way to be efficient. Yeah, we have 30 officers worth 30 commissioned staff members. I'm sorry, 23 commissioned staff officers, 30 total at the police department. So we're trying to utilize that staffing to address the things that are priority. And so we're also looking into flock security systems as far as being able to detect stolen vehicles and vehicles that have a law enforcement status. In other words, they have some type of status in NCIC, the National Crime and Computer. And so that's what we're really trying to do. How can we be more effective with technology so that our officers have more time to address the priority issues?
Right.
So
right. That's cool. I want to loop back to, you mentioned one of your programs, your canine program. And so I understand your canine Hondo is in rough shape.
yeah.
What's going on with Hondo?
So the details, I would refer to the deputy director for that. He's really the supervisor of the canine program. I don't want to get too much into the details. There's a medical issue with Hondo.
And that's enough.
And so medical issue with Hondo. He's suffering and recuperating now from having surgery.
Yeah.
We hope that he continues to improve. But it's a difficult time for him and his handler.
Mm-hmm.
And so Corporal Lerma is taking the best care he can with Hondo. And we're hoping that he recovers soon. You just never know what's going to happen and where we're going to end up. We have been very thankful to the community for the generous support that they have forwarded through the Police Foundation. And so we're thankful to the foundation for their efforts to raise funds to help us with the cost of taking care of Hondo. It's an expensive cost. And although the city has an insurance policy to help with Hondo, it's just like you or I going to the hospital. But there's only a certain percentage of that cost is covered through insurance, and with animal insurance, it's not quite as much as it is. So. Yeah. But we're very thankful and very hopeful that Hondo recovers soon.
Yeah, I know the North Sound Police Foundation did, right? They were out at the golf tournament on one of the holes, and we supported their fundraising efforts to specifically to help, direct some funds to help cover the cost of care for Hondo. So, it's interesting having a police canine and what the impact of that is to your department, to your officers, and to the community. It just really means something, right? It hits home because we all, not all, but many of us have dogs or pets in our families, or have in the past or will in the future, and they are every bit a member of your family as you or I. In fact, maybe my dog might be more important to my family than me sometimes. But it's the same thing in your police department, right? Hondo's not a pet, but Hondo's a partner, and that tears at your soul to see him suffer.
Well, they become members of your department, right? Yeah. So they're basically, they're issued a badge. They have a badge number. They are members of the department, whichever way you want to see it. And we really appreciate the work that Corporal Lerma does. Corporal Lerma has been a great asset to the region. He's sought after very heavily. He's very knowledgeable, capable, and he and Hondo have been very successful as a K-9 team. We could not be more proud of the job that they have done.
Yeah.
It is one of those things that, Sergeant Durkee and myself. Sergeant Durkee really took that program and ran with it. And got this.
He was a K-9 handler previously.
Correct. And so I believe since 2012, the K-9 unit has been in place here at Mill Creek, and we're very proud of the work they've done.
Yeah. Well, best wishes to Hondo, and we're all hoping for a great recovery, and to get to a point in life where he's happy and comfortable, or healthy.
Yeah.
And that's a tough one.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. What else you got going? Anything going on in the police department of the city that you want to talk about or let folks out here know about?
No, we're working on budget for the police department and the city overall. We've been working on a new policy manual, working with Lexipol and some other things to create kind of a mixture of a organic / Lexipol driven policy manual.
Let me interrupt. Just so people know, Lexipol is like a national policy company, best practices kind of thing.
Correct.
So you're taking what this national company says, hey, these are best practices based on laws and case laws and everything else, and you're tailoring that to fit the needs of your police department and your community. And
Correct. And then, of course, in bringing in the where you get the deviation from Washington law versus what Lexipol is recommending, that's where we're really stepping in and saying, no, this is the changes that need to be made. And so, especially with all the, a lot of the police reform that happened over the last few years, we're really heavily implementing that into the policy now. And so that should be, we're hoping to finish that by the end of the year and get that out. And then, that involves working with the Guild to make sure that we're, making sure that they're understanding and agreeing with what concepts that the administration is bringing forward as well. So we're hoping to have a great partnership in getting that completed.
Cool. I know from my history, that's a huge lift, and kudos to you for carrying that and getting to the point where you're like, hey, we could have this done in a few months. That's awesome.
It would be nice. It's not a simple thing. I remember working on it with you and when you were chief, and the trials and tribulations of trying to get this established and done. It's not an easy task, and without the assistance of the deputy director, it would not.
Oh yeah,
it wouldn't be exactly where we're at now.
Yeah.
But it's been a lot of. Surprisingly, it's been quite a fun journey, but it's you learn a lot.
Yeah,
you learn a lot doing it.
As we're recording this, we're just a few days away from school starting. Right, Labor Day weekend's coming, and so when we're done here, we're going to go out on the street and we're going to go to a school zone, and we're going to talk a little bit about what school zones are. But I think hearing a little bit from you, what do you want the folks to know as school's getting ready to go? And by the time this airs, school will have been going, but the message remains the same, right? What do we need to tell folks about? Hey, the school's back.
Yeah, it's really about being cautious as a driver, right? And understanding that we need to follow the traffic laws in those areas designated as school zones, 20 miles an hour or less. No, we have two roads that are really affected by the school zones. 148th in front of Mill Creek Elementary, 136 in front of Jackson High School, and actually the Trillium Boulevard, right? So from Get School. And so, those are the areas where our law enforcement officers are going to be present. And as you know, is when you were chief and I was working as a sergeant and with a traffic unit, I was out there quite frequently with my squad, and we take it seriously. It is a time of day where kids are at risk. And I also understand that it is a time of day where people are trying to get to work. And so we just have to understand that, to make the safest community out there, we need to be diligent as the law enforcement agency, to be reasonable and use discretion in our enforcement of the school laws. But, during those times of day where that yellow light is flashing and those kids are present, the expectation is to have more of enforcement action so that we are creating that safe environment for the kids. And not only just for the kids, but for other pedestrians that are walking the roadways. It's also a time when a lot of people are getting up to go for walks with their dogs. It's not just about the kids, but it's about the community in general.
You bet.
So
it's we don't want people to get tickets, right? And your officers don't want to have to write tickets, and so let's just do it together, right? Let's just do it together. Let's all, as drivers, adults, teenagers, everybody, just pledge to just do it, right? And that's what the element of law enforcement is. You're trying to get compliance with the laws, so just voluntarily do it. Just slow down. This is 20, go 20, and watch out for kids.
Wake up a little sooner. Leave a little sooner, whatever it might take to just make sure that you're not rushing in the morning to get where you need to be.
And listen, that difference from one end of 148th to the other end of 148th at 25 as opposed to 20, it really doesn't make much difference.
No, it's not. You're not changing a lot of time.
No.
You're not seeing yourself.
Just slow down. Yeah, super simple.
And of course, we'll have, again, Detective White. She is a fixture at Mill Creek Elementary, and she has a tendency to park her Tahoe right in the middle of the street there, and make sure that people know she's there. And,
absolutely.
So we're going to do our best just to know that people see our presence as well and understand it, especially on the first few days of school.
You bet.
But we will be there. We will be out in those areas.
Real quick about crosswalks, just so people understand what's the deal with crosswalks. Okay, when do you have to stop? If I'm coming to a crosswalk and I see somebody, do I got to wait till they're in front of me before I stop, or what's the deal?
Rule of thumb is they're entering the crosswalk. If they're standing at the crosswalk, ready to cross, you should be stopping and letting that pedestrian move.
Hear that? They're standing there. They're getting stopped. Let them go.
Yeah.
Again, you're not going to destroy your commute.
Right.
Just that's going to take them 15 seconds to cross the street.
Yeah.
So just stop.
And the other is when those pedestrians are in the crosswalk and they're making their way across the sidewalk, right?
Yeah.
When should I go?
Yeah.
Should I wait for them to just barely clear the lane I'm trying to turn into and turn into that lane, or should I wait one lane over? Or so yes, let's let them get at least a lane away, so that they can make that turn safely without them changing their mind that they wanted to cross there.
Yeah, exactly. The pedestrians should have a responsibility too, right? Yeah. Don't just step out in front of a car because you think you can.
Yeah, that's a no-win situation.
It's a no-win, right? Because who cares what the law says at that point? It's just the gross tonnage rule.
Yeah.
Hey, car outweighs you. The lug nut rule, right? The lug nut rule. Yeah.
And really, think about what we're trying to do here. It's about being courteous and respectful to the individuals that are out here.
Yep. And
if we can have some awareness of community, some sense of community, and be more vigilant to be protective of others as well, that's... it's very simple to talk about, and then things like people get in a hurry and those types of things. And I understand life is complex, and but if you just have the time to just say, hey, listen,
go right ahead,
be courteous, be polite.
Absolutely.
It makes for a lot nicer community.
Isn't that what rules and laws are all based on anyway? Just being courteous and nice and considerate.
Yeah, that's what they're founded in.
Exactly. Chief, I appreciate this. I miss sitting down talking to you like this. We used to talk like this kind of stuff all the time.
Well, the Seahawks talks, those are...
Yeah, we'll get to that too.
We're going to get fantasy football and those.
I got 2 drafts under my belt, 1 more coming. So
wow, already draft. Okay,
yeah,
good. And then hope you are successful in your season.
We'll go down and see a Seahawks game this year.
Give me a call.
Okay, we'll do it.
All right.
Chief, appreciate it very much. This is good to see you.
Yeah, I think.
All right, everybody. Hey, that's the end of the show. Remember, like, subscribe, share, let the world know Mill Creek Live today, and thanks again to Tapped. Love you, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.